Justice Hunters comes out in just 1 week, and with it comes a top meta threat in the Vanquish Soul K9 deck. This deck is really good because it plays not only on their turn, but also it plays a lot on your turn, with all of its engine acting as hand traps at the same time. And because of that, there's a lot of different places you can actually hand trap this deck to good effect. But there's a lot of different interactions that they're going to throw at you, and you have to know the most efficient ways to hand trap them, or they will grind you out of the game. So this video is going to go over how to hand trap the Vanquish Soul K9 deck for maximum effect. Let's start our discussion with Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. There's a lot of things you can Ash in the Vanquish Soul K9 matchup, and the ideal targets are going to differ depending on whether it's your turn or if it's your opponent's turn. Let's start with if it's your opponent's turn. The prime Ash target for the Vanquish Soul K9 deck is going to be Stake Your Soul. But you're not going to just shotgun Ash Blossom if they use Stake Your Soul. You have to look at what they reveal first. If they go Stake Your Soul, reveal an Earth Monster, do not Ash that, because an Earth Monster will not be a starter directly, and therefore they're trying to bait your Ash Blossom, probably so they can turn on their K9 cards. However, if they go Stake Your Soul and reveal a starter, like Ryzeal or Madlove, you're not going to want to Ash that either, because they're just going to be able to play straight through it. What you will want to Ash is if they go Stake Your Soul, reveal something, a Fire attribute, or a Dark attribute that is not one of their starters, because that might actually stop them from getting into any of their Vanquish Soul plays. If they don't have Stake Your Soul, if they don't start with Stake Your Soul, the best Vanquish Soul monster to Ash, in my opinion, is going to be Dr. Madlove. Ashing Madlove is going to keep them off of the field spell, which is going to stop another search, and it's also going to stop them from setting up the trap card, which can be game ending if it's good against your deck. Therefore, I think Madlove is probably the best Ash target. You can Ash Ryzeal on normal summon, but I don't really like doing that because you don't really know what they have in hand, and they can easily play straight through that as well. And at least Madlove, you know, you're probably cutting off access to the field spell. When it's on your turn though, Ash can be really powerful in stopping them from setting up interruptions on turn 0 against you. If they start with Vanquish Soul Holisu and reveal Fire and Dark to summon from deck, you're going to want to Ash that, because if you don't, it's going to mean 2 pops against your board without them having to do anything else. So Ashing Holisu effect to summon is going to be very strong. Another good Ash target on your turn is going to be the K9 Izuna, because that is going to allow them to dump a Lupus. Lupus will summon out, and then they will set up a rank 5 on your turn, which will be an interruption. So you might as well trade with the interruption right away by Ashing the Izuna, so they can't even get to that, or set up Lupus for the grind game. The next card I want to talk about is Ghost Ogre. So Ghost Ogre, I think, is very strong against Vanquish Soul. Not a lot of decks play this card yet, but I think it's going to be very good going into this matchup. On your opponent's turn, you're going to want to Ogre the field spell, Vanquish Soul Start, because otherwise, if you try to Ogre a monster, they can dodge it by tagging out, or if they already have the field spell up, they can protect their monster, but they can't protect the field spell, and it is going to be really good, just like Ashing Madlove to prevent the field spell from coming out. If you Ogre the field spell, it will stop them from getting the search, it'll stop them from protecting any of their monsters from destruction, and also it'll stop them from setting up the trap card in the end phase. So it's a really high value Ogre target. However, if they start with K9 Izuna, I would just recommend hitting the Izuna, because otherwise they're going to set up a K9 Ripper, and Ripper is a negate for any effects that activate in the hand. So if they set up the Ripper, your Ogre is going to be dead anyway, so you might as well clear the Izuna off the board, make them find another way to put a level 5 on board, and then they'll be able to go into Ripper that way, but have a little bit less of an end board. So really, Izuna is kind of a hand trap bait, because they're going to be able to set up a hand trap negate if you don't interact with it anyways. On your turn, Ghost Ogre is really good against K9 Lupus. So what they're going to do is they're going to go Izuna. Izuna effect is going to dump a Lupus on your turn. Lupus is going to quick effect summon itself out on your turn, and then Lupus is going to activate to XC summon using it as material. However, if you chain Ghost Ogre to that effect, the Lupus will get banished, and then they are not going to have Lupus for the remainder of the game for their grind game, which is really strong. Plus, you've effectively taken a card out of their hand, which is very good in the Vanquish Soul matchup, and you can clear the Izuna possibly on your own turn on turn 0 to kind of limit their grind game going forward. So I think Ogre is really good on both your turn and your opponent's turn, and it can hit some pivotal parts of their engine. In a similar means, you can use Ghost Belle or DD Crow against K9 Lupus on its effect to bring itself back out from the graveyard. This is specifically talking about your turn, but if they go Izuna to dump the Lupus and then Lupus effect to bring itself back, we can Belle that, or we can DD Crow that, and that will stop them from setting up a rank 5 on your turn. However, Lupus is an Earth, so Bystials are not really going to work too good against Lupus, and Bystials are not going to be very good against the Vanquish Soul K9 matchup in general. There's going to be very few opportunities where you're going to get value out of the banish effect. Sure, you can sometimes summon out the Bystials by banishing an opponent's like Rock of the Vanquisher, or sometimes in rare occasions they might try to add back a Mad Love and you can Bystial that, but realistically there's not going to be a whole lot of value that Bystials bring to this matchup where it's going to be worth main decking this or siding it in specifically for the Vanquish Soul K9 matchup, and Belle or DD Crow are going to get a lot more value. While we're talking about DD Crow, another interesting opportunity to use DD Crow is when they go Rock effect to add back a Raisin from their graveyard. A lot of times they want to load their hands up with fires, and fires are kind of hard to come by. So if they go Rock to add back Raisin, that and you DD Crow that, it'll stop them, number one, from summoning out Raisin on your turn, which will prevent a pop most likely and another search by them. And it might also turn off cards like Jiao, which might be requiring one extra fire to get a search off, or it just might take out any fires out of their hand that are needed for Halisu or for Caesar to actually act as interruptions. So yeah, crowing the Raisin add back off of Rock of the Vanquisher is also going to be pretty powerful. All right, let's talk about the Mulcharmys now. Purulia is obviously very good against Vanquish Soul K9. All of the monsters summon themselves from the hand, and if they're trying to use both engines, you're going to get a lot of Purulia value because they're going to have to normal summon. They might want to Rock summon from hand. They might want to Halisu summon from hand, Jiao summon from hand, all the K9s summon from hand at first. So you're going to get a lot of Purulia value, and it's going to be good no matter which turn you use it on. And even if you're going first, you might want to leave Purulia in and just leave it and hope to draw it and drop Purulia on your own turn going first, because a lot of your opponent's interactions that they're trying to set up are going to involve summoning from their hand on your turn, and therefore anytime they use a Bystial or Halisu or Izuna or anything like that, even Nibiru, you're going to be able to get draws on your own turn, which is going to be really nice. Mulcharmy Fuelos is going to be okay. You might get a couple of draws. The real targets for Fuelos are going to be when they link summon into Rock of the Vanquisher, when they overlay into K9 Ripper, or when they use Halisu effect to summon from deck. But if you drop Fuelos, that probably forego one of those or two and just limit you to 1 to 2 draws tops. So Fuelos is okay, but it's not necessary to keep in when you're playing against the Vanquish Soul K9 matchup. Mulcharmy Meows is the worst of the Charmies by far. You might get one draw if they use Lupus effect to summon back from graveyard, but other than that, none of the Vanquish Soul monsters are summoning back from grave, and the K9 engine could summon 1 to 2 times maximum from the graveyard, so there's really no reason to ever play Meows. Fantastical Dragon Phantazmay is the last drawing hand trap that I want to talk about. It's pretty good, but it could get negated by Ripper. If they just go K9 plays first and set up their Ripper, your Phantazmay is going to get negated, so it's not going to be too impactful, and the only link monster that they're ever reliably summoning is going to be Rock of the Vanquisher. So if, like I said, if they start with the K9 plays, set up Ripper, your Phantazmay is getting negated and it's going to sit dead in your hand for the rest of the game. Alright, let's talk about the Dominus cards. First, Dominus Impulse is an extremely good card against the Vanquish Soul K9 deck. It can hit most effects of the Vanquish Soul monsters that are not the normal summons, that are not the level 4s, so impulsing Halisu out of the hand is going to be really good. Even impulsing a heavy Borger or a Caesar at a well-timed moment is going to be pretty strong as well, particularly if you have a trap in grave and you can just rip that card out of the hand. Another good impulse target is Lupus's effect to Xyz on your own turn, and that will leave a Izuna and a Lupus on your board if you just impulse that, and then you can ideally clear the Lupus with something like SP or destroy it somehow, and that'll get banished that way, and you can remove a lot of grind game if you can just stop and leave their K9 monsters on the board without letting them Xyz summon. Other than that, on your opponent's turn, impulsing the Halisu effect to summon from deck or even the Halisu effect to summon from hand is going to be pretty good, but just note with the K9 cards they can summon out this Halisu from their hand with the K9 engine, even if the Halisu effect to summon itself gets negated. So Generally, I would say hold the impulse for the Halisu effect to summon from the deck, because they can't dodge that one. And then also impulsing the Izuna effect. If they try to use the effect to summon itself out from the hand on their own turn, impulsing that is going to be pretty strong, and it's going to keep them off of at least one rank 5 access. Dominus Purge, on the other hand, is going to be a little bit less good, but there's still some good targets. You can purge the Dr. Madlove effect to try to add the field spell, or if you have a trap in your graveyard already and Purge will get the destruction effect, you can consider letting them get to the field spell and then just purging the field spell effect to search, because that will just clear it out of the game for good. Generally, in the K9 builds, people are only playing one field spell, so if you can just clear that for the rest of the game, it's going to be pretty good for your grind game. Infinite Impermanence, on the other hand, is going to be kind of suspicious. All of the targeted effect negators like Imperm, Effect Veiler, and Ghost Mourner are going to be kind of sus against the Vanquish Soul package, because as we know, they can dodge those easily by chaining stuff like Heavy Borger or Caesar, bouncing their monster back to the hand. For the start of your turn, if their opponent is setting up a board, I'll just hold the Imperm. I'm going to try to Imperm their Rock of the Vanquisher in the standby phase, because Rock can only activate in the main phase, so taking away their ability to summon something like Raisin is going to be pretty good. Or just hold the Imperm and negate the Ripper if that negate of Ripper is going to affect your turn significantly. I like to just take off one of their interactions just right off the board instead of trying to stop any of their interactions, because it's just too risky. If they dodge the Imperm, you're probably going to lose that game. Let's talk about Nibiru really quick, okay? Nibiru is both one of the best cards and one of the worst cards against Vanquish Soul K9. It's very good because they can't dodge it. They're going to lose their whole board. But it's very bad because they're easily going to set up a K9 Ripper before the Nibiru is going to be able to come down. So what you have to do is pair Nibiru with another Handtrap as usual. You have to force the Ripper negate, maybe either by having Imperm plus Nibiru, Veiler plus Nibiru, Ghost Ogre plus Nibiru. What I mean by that one is you can Ogre the Ripper when it uses its effective search. They're going to negate the Ogre there, and then you can nib whenever you want later, and then you're going to be okay. But Nibiru on its own is not going to be effective because they will have a negate for it, and it's just not going to come down. Another fun, interesting aspect of Nibiru is pretty, it's not too unlikely that you can Nibiru your opponent on your own turn, because they're going to be setting up so much stuff. For example, if they have both Vanquish Soul and K9 engine access on your turn, they're going to spend 3 summons on the K9 part with Lupus and Izuna and Ripper, and then they're also going to spend at least 2 summons with something like Halisu, and then Halisu will summon out something from the deck. So it's very reasonable to be able to Nibiru your opponent on your turn, which could be pretty strong. But once again, you're going to be in the same situation where we have to stop the Ripper first, and then Nibiru is going to have a lot of effect. A couple other hand traps that I want to mention. Droll and Lockbird, first of all, is not going to be very good. It's not very good at all against the K9 engine because they don't really rely on searching all too much. Their main starter, which is Izuna, is going to dump a monster to the grave, and then that monster will come back from the grave, so no searching involved there. But you will be able to stop the Ripper effective search, the rank 5 effective search, which is okay. And then you're going to have Raisin, and you're going to have Dr. Madlove, and you're going to have the field spell and Jawlong effective search. But if you stop them there, they're going to have so much interruption just off their first search that they're going to be able to search what they want on your turn and probably have enough grind game to make it to the next turn, and you're just going to be down a card. So generally, I'm thinking Droll's not going to be that great. Yeah, I just listed off a whole bunch of ways that can search, but they don't need to search in any of those ways. They just need to set up their attributes as best they can, and they can usually do that with just one search that's allowed under Droll. The last card I want to talk about is Lancea. Lancea is not really doing anything against this deck. They're not banishing anything unless they're going to tech into something weird. So generally, Lancea probably still in your side deck for Malice, but it's definitely not coming in against Vanquish Soul K9. So that's going to wrap up the hand trap guide for Vanquish Soul K9. I hope this helps you guys when the deck comes out and is dominating your local or regional scene in a couple weeks. But Until then, let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know if you think of any other hand traps that you think could be good against the Vanquish Soul K9 deck that I haven't thought of. Maybe you're teching Performapal Damage Juggler to stop the Vanquish Soul trap. I don't know. But you know, there's some weird tech that we couldn't think about. There's probably a lot of board breakers that are going to be pretty good too, but we'll get into that in a separate video when we talk about board breakers for this coming format. With that, I will catch you guys in the next one. I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you soon.